Alright, what's up, guys? I know it seems like forever since I've made a podcast. I actually have a podcast specifically on the physiological effects of Saturn square Neptune with the flesh-eating bacteria. But first, I'm just going to do a little frivolous thing and have some fun here. And I'm, really amped for the U.S. political election this year, as every, American that treasures our constitutional rights or our freedoms should be, if they're well informed. I understand the Jupiter-Neptune opposition has been making people a little out of it, so they may not be all the way on board with this, but coincidentally enough, somebody decided to meet you guys. I want to say you guys are the people that aren't necessarily informed, which it would likely not be any of the listeners for my podcast audience, because you guys, if you're listening to the things I have to say, then anything about the whole left or just the mindless zombies kind of masses of mainstream society would be completely beneath you. But there's this awesome movie coming out the 22nd of July, and it's called Hillary's America. So I'm just going to actually play this clip here that I pre-recorded already, and then it'll actually play the trailer at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and clip it in now. Everything's always somehow tied in astrologically. But speaking of the fact that we're at 222 years of the 249-year cycle of our Pluto return for the United States of America, I think it's very fascinating, and I've been reading more and more about the early history, like specific details about the cultural norms, the kind of environment or the social constructs of the colonies and all that, and the origins of some different factions and subcultures, groups, whatever, etc., etc. And I think it's fascinating that I just came to this conclusion. So there's this movie that's coming out apparently on the 22nd of July, and I saw the trailer on YouTube, and it's so amazing that I think it's too good to be true. And the reason why I say that is because it's about time that they actually make not only something based on a true story and educational, but something that's relevant, especially to the American people. And I think that this is the most important, and this was strategically decided, had to have been released this year specifically. I think it probably would have been better last year, but it talks about the origins of the Democratic Party. And I know it sounds really lame, but I'm just going to play the trailer because just the audio itself speaks volumes, and it says a lot of things that me and plenty of other, at least constitutionalists or old school kind of, patriots have tried to tell people for a long time, and it's about damn time that it's been completely laid out in Hollywood terms so the collective masses can see and put the two and two together. And my whole point of why I wanted to add my 2 cents to this is, so way back in the day, obviously, the Englishmen that came over to the colonies, they essentially went to Africa in some regions and purchased people, slaves. Obviously, that's obviously a really testy subject among the American population. So it's been, for people that have actually looked into it, it's been known that we didn't just go over and grab people like fishing. They were sold to us by other African natives. And specifically, if you look really deep into it, North Africans that happen to be Muslim, just like the migrants that are going over into Europe and parts of America now. So in the Muslim world and in Muslim countries, slavery is still condoned. In fact, they sell women all the time, and they essentially sell off other people that are not Muslim because they're beneath them. They're lower than dogs. So they use them as slavery, or they, will commit genocide on them, like the Armenians. And I can't remember that. I feel awful that I can't remember that little faction of people that were right at the northern part of the Middle East, that they're basically, it's just been condoned by the UN that they're committing mass genocide on them as well. Yazidis, there we go. That they're continuing to enslave people to this day. You can see it in the global headlines. And I think it's fascinating that the Democratic Party, being associated with the South, obviously not being Abraham Lincoln, who wanted to free the slaves and then got killed for it, which I find very funny, that he got killed for it with a gun, and they want gun control. That's kind of projecting the whole year with Jupiter opposition Neptune projecting thing. But I think it's funny that we're coming to our Pluto revolution, and again, slavery is in a way, indirectly, is coming up again, either through systematic enslavement and or because we're basically just letting the floodgates come in with all the Muslims that were essentially the origin of where we got the African slaves in the fucking first place. And I think it's even perfect that the Democrats are sympathizers with the Muslims and vice versa. They seem to be on the same team. You notice that? They were on the same team 222 years ago, too. Interesting. So I'm going to play this clip now. It's so freaking awesome. I'm so excited.
Who are these Democrats?
Judgment. Dinesh D'Souza was sentenced on Tuesday to spend 8 months in a confinement center.
It all began when the Obama administration tried to shut me up.
You know, gang's all about stealing, man.
What did I learn? All crime is about stealing. The big criminals are still at large.
Didn't see any reason to keep them.
The system doesn't go after them because they run the system. It's time to go behind the curtain and discover the soul of the Democratic Party. 50 lashes. That feel? Come on. The Democrats support slaves.
This Civil Rights Act will allow colored men to sit at the same table beside the white guests.
Contaminate all Democrats who are now furnishing arms to the Ku Klux Klan.
To the Democratic Party. Why has all this been swept under the rug?
To cover the tracks of the Democratic Party.
And we're not even talking about ancient history.
The racism continued well into the 20th century.
That as long as the black man continue to ravish our white women, we will continue to lynch him. Gotta give him a little something. Plantation politics.
The Democrats went from slavery to enslavement.
Corrupt big city bosses, that's how you get corrupt unions.
What does progressive actually mean?
Social engineering and social control.
Merciful thing that a large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it.
The opening video of the Democratic Convention in 2012, government is the one thing we all belong to. Because no, government belongs to us. We don't belong to it.
What are these Democrats hiding?
This is about buying and selling influence by foreign oligarchs and foreign governments. When you follow the money, there are very, very few coincidences.
What if the goal of the Democratic Party is to steal the most valuable thing the world has ever produced? What if their plan is to steal America?
Alright, this movie apparently is called Hillary's America, and it's coming out the 22nd of July. It's fucking awesome. I'm gonna go see this. And even if you are kind of pissed off, offended, or skeptical, or think whatever you just heard is total bullshit, and you're just humoring it because you either agree with me on other things, or you like to pick apart things that I like to talk about, whichever is your prerogative, I highly suggest, just for the fact of being open-minded and opening your ideas to any other possibilities, and for the fuck's sake, just an entertaining movie. It sounds like a fucking really entertaining movie that sounds relevant. It's not some crazy fictitious kind of crap. This movie sounds awesome. I don't even like movies. I don't even fucking watch TV or movies anymore, and I'm so stoked to go and see this. I've already watched this trailer probably about a dozen times. I'm so excited. So again, Plutonian revolution, synchronicity, how things manifest again and again that are interrelated. I think it's freaking hilarious that specifically, in a microcosmic way, the people who sold the slaves, and then the people who were basically owning or delegating the slaves and fighting to keep the slaves, are now the ones that coddle the African American community, the majority of them, throughout the United States. And I think it's fucking crazy and bullshit that all of them, or the entire populace, doesn't know about this, and how fucking trifling it is. But it makes sense with how much control they want to do and how much they project, people doing bad things to other people. It's called projection. Look up in any psychology book. It's fucking basic psychology theory. Projection. Every guilty person projects as if they were freaking Linda Blair from The Exorcist vomiting all over the place. It's ridiculous, but that's all I gotta say. Alright, so that's the end of the clip for that. I know this is kind of a frivolous thing. My excuse to tie this in astrologically anyway, besides just being part of my opinionative narrative in my Plutonian narrative section, is that our Pluto return is very, very crucial right now. And with actually the Saturn square Neptune, it's going to be our beliefs and our core values and ideology, regardless if you want to reference religious beliefs or doctrine or whatever, or just, principles. And the clash and conflict with the current institution that is becoming the next essential Nazi Germany. And I've actually been saying that for years. Any of my friends that, randomly hang out with me when I would watch TV still. The American History Channel, it's on Dish Network. They were looping over and over again for the last year and a half, at least, that I could see, Nazi documentaries. Really, really chopped up, biased shit. Not saying that, there's any way to, make Hitler sound good, but they were cutting out, that he's actually more socialist and all that stuff. They're just talking about the atrocities, and I was like, why do they loop this shit 24 hours a day? And I was like, I'm dreaming about this stuff when I pass out and this thing's still on. I was like, I've pretty much memorized this, but I'm a huge history buff when it comes to the Holocaust and everything anyway, so I know all about that. So the second that I started seeing that on TV, I'm like, there's a reason why they're looping this, and why is it on the American History Channel? It was so weird. And I think that in some way, somewhere out there in broadcast TV land, somebody was either trying to, give hints, or it was some sort of actual, because there wouldn't be any kind of, ambient or, programming that would benefit from people memorizing, Hitler documentary stuff. Maybe it was so they would call Trump Nazi. That might work. But I would actually think it'd be more somebody on the constitutionalist federalist side that was trying to at least make it evident to people so they can make similarities. Obviously it was put there in some way, shape, or form so people would make distinctions between somebody in the political system and Hitler himself. And I think that that's the only thing that people know about it. Because people don't even know the Holocaust. And the Holocaust, mind you, wasn't rarely, if ever, mentioned in any of those documentaries. It's just all about Hitler and the monster that he is. So it totally was conditioning them to only remember certain things. And that's also another reason why Saturn square Neptune has been manipulating narratives, broadcasting, and what you see on media, and that's why I just haven't turned on my TV for months. I gave up on it. But you should definitely go see this movie. I'm going to go see this movie, and even if, again, something you completely disagree with or whatever, it's just an interesting eye-opener. Kind of try to seem like you're supportive of what this country stands for, and maybe be open to other freedoms of speech and other ideas. And if it's okay if you don't like them, but freedom of speech is freedom of speech.